You know that map of the afterlife most of us have in our heads? What if it's missing a key destination? Today, we're diving into a really fascinating and, yeah, pretty controversial idea from a work called In the Superheavens. It's a theory that might just challenge everything you assume about where we're all headed.
So let's start with a basic question. Is heaven just one single place? For most people, yeah, it's the final stop, the end of the line. But what if it's actually just one stop on a much bigger cosmic subway map? The whole argument we're exploring today suggests there are entire realms beyond what we traditionally call heaven. And this quote right here, this is the absolute heart of it. The idea is that this isn't about being heavenly in character or spirit. No, we're talking about a physical zip code, a literal location that the source calls the superheavenlies. Get this, this isn't a metaphor, it's a place. All right, so here's our game plan for unpacking this whole idea. First, we'll nail down what these superheavens actually are. Then we're going to dig into a single Greek word that supposedly unlocks the whole thing and look at the case for it being a real place. After that, we'll zoom out to see where it fits into the bigger cosmic plan, why it was considered a secret, and finally, what this ultimate hope is all about. Okay, first things first, let's get our terms straight. What exactly are these superheavens? Because according to this viewpoint, it's a concept that goes way, way beyond our usual picture of clouds and harps. And the source is really emphatic here. This isn't just some poetic language for heaven. We're talking about a distinct sphere of existence, a physical location that is literally far above all heavens, the very same place where Christ himself is said to be.
So you might be wondering, okay, where does this kind of wild idea even come from? Well, according to the source, the entire foundation for this rests on one very specific Greek phrase that you find in the book of Ephesians, entois epioranios.
So let's break that word down. Iranios is pretty simple. It means heavenly. But the key, the real kicker, is the prefix, epi. It means upon or over. And the source claims that this one little prefix changes absolutely everything.
So you just put them together. You take heavenly, you add that prefix that means over, and what do you get? Over heavenly. The argument here is that this isn't just another word for the same thing. It's describing a completely different and superior realm.
Just look at this comparison. The standard, normal phrase for in the heavens is en tois oranios, but in Ephesians, it uses en tois ep oranios, that little ep on the front. The source argues this is no accident. This tiny grammatical shift signals a massive theological.
So why did they land on the English term superheavens? Well, the authors connected to another Greek prefix, huper, which also means above. Huper is what eventually became the Latin prefix super, like in superior or supernatural. So they applied that same logic to come up with superheavens to make the meaning crystal clear in English. But okay, is this just some fancy theological language for a state of mind? Or are we talking about an actual address? Well, the source argues pretty forcefully that this is a real, tangible place.
And this right here is probably the cornerstone of their whole argument. Think about it. When the Bible says believers were in Ephesus, nobody thinks that just means they had an Ephesian vibe, right? No, of course not. It means they were physically located in the city of Ephesus. So the source applies that exact same logic. Being in the superheavenlies means you are literally located there.
And the case keeps building with a simple word like where. I mean, you don't ask where a state of mind is. Where points to a specific location. And the text says Christ is where he sits on the right hand of God, which strongly implies a definite place. And it's not just one verse. The source points to a whole pattern of this kind of language. Christ didn't just go to heaven. He ascended far above it. He passed through it. He's described as being higher than it. This language constantly suggests a place that is beyond our traditional view. So, if this realm is real, where does it fit into the grand scheme of things? Well, the source presents a whole cosmic plan, sort of a divine administration, that's organized into three distinct spheres of blessing. It's laid out as a three-tiered structure. First, you've got the earthly sphere, which is tied to promises made to Israel on the earth. Then there's the heavenly sphere, for the spiritual descendants of Abraham. And right at the very top, you have the over-heavenly sphere. And that's the unique destiny we've been focusing on. And the source draws a really sharp line between the beings in those top two spheres. The heavenly group is called the bride, and it's linked to historical promises. But the over-heavenly group, they're called the body. That's a totally different relationship, with Christ as the head, and it's based on a secret that was only revealed much later.
Which, of course, raises a huge question. If this destiny is so important, why isn't it common knowledge? Well, the answer, according to the source, is that for most of history, it was basically top secret. It was a divine mystery that was only revealed at a very specific point in time.
This whole idea of a mystery or a secret is absolutely central to the argument. It's not that this destiny was just sort of forgotten or left out of earlier scriptures. No, the claim is that it was actively hidden, kept secret for ages, and only unveiled through the Apostle Paul.
This timeline really helps show the sequence of events. The source argues that the earthly and heavenly promises were public knowledge for centuries, but it was only after a specific turning point, the end of the book of Acts, that this entirely new, over-heavenly calling was finally revealed by Paul.
Okay, so let's bring it all home. What does this unique destiny actually look like? What are the ultimate implications of this so-called secret calling?
Well, the source breaks this ultimate hope down into 5 key features. First, it's a pre-expectancy, meaning it happens before any other promises are fulfilled. It involves a special out-resurrection, which is separate from other groups. There's a transfiguration into a glorious body, a specific destiny in the superheavenlies, and then a final manifestation, which is a great revealing of this group with Christ.
But why? What's the ultimate point of all this? The source concludes that this group is meant to be God's eternal specimen of grace, like a living, permanent demonstration of the incredible depth of divine love put on display for all the other beings in the superheavenly realms to see for all time.
And this brings us right back to our map of the afterlife. You see, the argument we've just walked through doesn't just add a new city to the map, it redraws all the borders. If you take this framework seriously, it introduces a completely different destination, a separate timeline, and a totally unique purpose that changes the entire picture. It's a fundamental challenge to the traditional view of what comes next.